And now let's discuss more about ASEAN Literary Festival. And here's joining us tonight Ananda Sukarlan, Indonesian pianist with international reputation, who also performed in the festival and also did a workshop there. And good evening, Ananda.
Hi, Tony. Good evening.
And thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, first of all, I need to ask you about the demonstration that happened in the festival, in the opening of the festival. Can you talk more about it?
Yeah, it's just a mess, and for me, it's just a group of a bunch of ignorant and homophobic people, nothing else. I mean, they can call themselves whatever organization, but basically they demand two things, which is that the festival should not address the issues of communism and about the LGBT. And why? In 2016, why shouldn't we address those two issues? Okay. It's because they are basically ignorant and, of course, homophobic too.
And well, what happened afterwards? How did the police react on that, and how did it alter to be like peaceful?
The police has taken away the permission of the festival, so it's very strange. And then the police has ordered Taman Ismail Marzuki, so the whole venue, to close the whole building, so that the festival couldn't take place. And so I gave a workshop today, and so we moved to a secret place. A cafe near Taman Ismail Marzuki. In fact, I tweeted where it was, but then the festival organizer said, no, please.
Make it secret.
Make it a secret, so I had to delete my tweet because they are afraid that there will be a disturbance there. But the workshop went through quite well. In fact, we were just late half an hour, but everybody came, and we also end up half an hour later, but then everything went well.
But you mentioned the permit was taken away. So what happened? I mean, does it really close right there, or do you have to, do any more workshops secretly?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the President Jokowi today has he ordered the police to solve the problem, and then the problem was solved, and the festival was just like a war zone because there were so many police with weapons and everything. It happened. Now it's happening, and tomorrow.
But now it's back open, right?
Back open, and hopefully tomorrow everything will be fine.
All right,
hopefully.
Hopefully it will be fine. But of course, the festival itself, it will run until May 8th. And can you tell us more about it? And what is it about your workshop that you did there?
Yeah, I talked about the relationship between music and literature, because I make music from lots of literary works, from writers like Walt Whitman, Robert Frost, until Indonesian writers like Sapardi Djoko Damono, and then also I made opera from Seno Gumira Dharma, and my next opera will be Tumira, which is based also from a story by Seno Gumira Dharma, which will be premiered in September. And so I'm talking about my creative process and introduction to people who wants to start to know about the history of how music and literature could be related, and how I transform literary works into music.
And into that perspective, what do you think about Indonesian people based on those, knowledge, especially when you mix, you link the literature with the music, classical music?
Yeah. Well, in fact, this tradition has been for a long time in Europe, since the 18th century, since composers like Beethoven, Franz Schubert. But in Indonesia, it's something very new, and so that's why I'm trying to introduce it to many artists, musicians, and writers as well, so that I think it should be something very normal, to combine different fields of arts, like music and literature, and not only literature, but also with paintings and exhibitions.
So could you tell us more about the feedback from today's workshop anyway?
Yeah, well, they are very interested, mostly young people. Well, in fact, all of them are young people, and most of them, they don't read music, they cannot read notes, but they want to know how I transform the literary works. So I told them it's not as simple as putting the words into melodies, because we have to get the atmosphere of the poem or the story. And so it's also about harmony, about rhythms and everything, which normally if we listen to a song, we don't really hear, we are not aware about the harmonies and the rhythm. We just think about the melodies,
Yeah.
Oh, such a nice melody. But then if you listen, for example, to a song of, I don't know, Whitney Houston, and I will always love you, it's just 3 notes. Da dee da 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 dee da da dum. So I said,
It sounds simple, but
it sounds simple. It's because there are harmonic progressions under it, and also the rhythms. But then people think, yeah, music is just melody. No, music is not just melody. Music is rhythm. It's the harmony. It's the chords. It's the atmosphere. It's the orchestration. It's so many things.
But is it a must for people, for Indonesian people, to know first about the notes, how to read notes?
It would be nicer if they know, because in Europe, for example, everybody learns how to read notes in their primary school. And musical education is very important. For example, if the musical education is like in Europe, then those kind of things would not have happened, because in music we express things like those homophobic people. They are repressed homosexuals mostly, and maybe they are secretly in love with somebody, and through music, we can express all those secret love and everything. And
Just being open.
Yeah, you can just open it in music, and nobody would mind, But if in real life you say, oh, I'm secretly in love with a person with the same sex, and then people say, oh my God, But homophobia basically, not basically, but mostly are just repressed homosexualities.
All right,
So,
and back to your workshop. You will continue another more workshop in the festival.
yeah, tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow, because there are more people interested, so we need 2 days. But basically, I'm talking about the same materials, and also half an hour of question and answer, because sometimes they want to ask something which I didn't think about before.
And based on your perspective, what do you think that we should do for the next few years, especially for like musical educations in terms of understanding more about classical music or other kind of music?
Yeah, education in primary schools, and of course education, more education for people, because ignorance is basically a lack of education, and those groups wouldn't exist anymore with a good education in primary schools and good history, that they have to learn what is communism, they are protesting about communism, and you ask them what is communism, and they don't know what is communism. And they said about LGBT, and they said it's a disease. What kind of disease? And they said it's a sin. Well, if somebody is sick, then somebody cannot be a sinner. I mean, either you're sick or you commit a sin, but you cannot be both. And then they say LGBT is contagious. So, if I'm gay, then you become gay. And then they said, oh yeah, but we are afraid of gays because then, they will come to us and they will flirt and they will, do something like that. And then you look at them and say, well, really, are they going to flirt with you? So.
Well, did you mention that in the workshop, the first workshop today?
Yeah.
All right.
And I mentioned to the press, so.
All right, so from this festival, is there any result or any targeted ideas that you and all the team will gather, especially to give it to the government to make another important step for education or to any kind of projects that can help the music in this country?
Yeah, of course, basically arts in general, literature and music, but then it's basically the musical education, which is very important, as I said, because it's to make balance for our life. We don't educate music because we want to make musicians. No, musical education is needed by everybody, basically, because it brings sensitivity out of you. It makes you more intelligent, because it activates the parts of the brain which usually are not activated if you don't think about music. Coordination, like, if you read notes and then you play an instrument, then you have to translate the notes into the musical instrument. And of course you need sensitivity and you need intelligence to make the music. So if you say, yeah, I play music with the heart, Yes, with the heart, but also with the brain.
Okay, one last question. You mentioned about that you work with several writers and also created several operas. But any other Indonesian writers that you like to work with right now?
Yes, there are some very young writers today. Well, Oki Madasari, I'm a big fan. Oki Madasari is the director of the festival, but unfortunately, she hasn't written any poems. But maybe I write operas from her novels. There was Rio Johan too today. He's a very young writer. Adimas Emmanuel, also a very young writer. So I would like to work with them because they think sort of out of the box, you know. And I like that.
Yeah.
Very inventive and very creative and, you know, in a way rather outrageous, but I like that.